So it's my pleasure to welcome you all to this insightful session of our CA study circle. As professionals, we've been entrusted with financial integrity and our role in fraud identification and insurance compliance with benevolent provisions of the income tax is more critical than ever. Today, we gather to deepen our understanding of fraud detection, an area where vigilance and expertise can safeguard businesses and stakeholders. कहते हैं ना, some famous person has definitely said, if you see fraud and you don't say fraud, that means you are a fraud, right? So CA Pallavi Ajmera is here with us, and she will take us beyond numbers and help us learn how to identify frauds and suspicious transactions. And I encourage you all to engage actively, ask questions, and make the most of this knowledge sharing opportunity. With that, let's begin the session and work towards a more informed and ethical financial ecosystem. To give a formal introduction of our learned speaker, I call upon our past convener, CA Anil Shankar.
Everybody. I thank the convener for giving me this opportunity to introduce today's speaker, Pallavi Ajmera, who is an experienced chartered accountant with a array of qualifications, including prestigious CFCS certification in financial crimes. Her expertise spans various domains, including investment banking, currency derivatives, mutual fund advisory, financial planning, financial crime detection, and audit. With her over 25 years in the financial service industry, she has held key roles during her stint with DSP Merrill Lynch, ICICI Bank, and currently Edgecon Group. She has been instrumental in financial crime. She has been instrumental in the financial crime field, having led the ACFCS Indian affiliation with Edgecon Edufin Private Limited over the past 7 years and establishing the ACFCS Indian chapter. She has formed FinCrime experts to empower professionals and to join the fight against the financial crimes. Is on the committee formed by IKSCA, regulator of Gift City, for drafting BATF Regulation 2024, ancillary services for BATF, launching courses with skill-based academic institutes to provide training and certification in financial crimes, get campus hiring, etc. With this brief introduction, I request you to welcome her with a big round of applause. And I also request Ankit to please join in giving memento to her. Request Vivek ji to please come and do the honors. Barnuwal.
A very happy Sunday morning, everybody. It's so good to have everybody here on the Sunday. And I'm always overwhelmed when I have correspondence along, for such programs. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Anuji, for the introduction, and thank you, Vijeta, for inviting me. It's a great opportunity for me to be here today. So just to briefly introduce myself, I'm Pallavi Ajmera, and as I mentioned, I am globally certified in financial crime through an organization known as ACFCS, which is Association of Certified Financial Crime Specialists. It's a global organization which provides training and certification programs in financial crime prevention, detection, enforcement, and investigations. So that's where I got my certification from. And I've been in this domain for the last 8 years. So while I've been working in financial services across various domains, I've been specializing in this for the last 8 years. And along with me is my partner Jyoti, who is an ex-compliance officer of Nomura and Credit Suisse. And of course, my father-in-law, Dr. Ashok Ajmera, who is again a very well-known CA, and he's been into financial services for over 3 decades. We've also started FinCrime Expert, which we've launched, which is an forum where we are getting people working across BFSI to develop various skill sets in this domain. So when I talk about what is financial crime, you'll be able to understand how so many professionals and how so many departments are working in this domain across BFSI, especially banks, financial institutions, NBFCs. And that gives you a little bit of an insight. So our objective is to enrich skills, to introduce people to the upcoming technology, because there's a lot of advancement that is happening and a lot of ways in which technology is being applied to detect and prevent financial crime. Develop industry expertise and of course upskill yourself. Now, what is financial crime? So a lot of people have this question in mind. Is it just frauds? Question is, answer is no. It's not just frauds, but it's a lot more beyond that. So fraud is one thing, and everybody must be acquainted with PMLA. Then you must have heard about predicate offenses. Okay, so what happens after fraud happens? The question is, what happens to the more money that is generated? So this money has to be parked somewhere, and that's what we call money laundering. So placement, layering, integration. And everybody might be acquainted with these words. And all these activities that you're seeing on this infographic are all interrelated. There are a lot of commonalities between each of these activities. And when we go further on during the presentation, you will also understand what I'm trying to, the point that I'm trying to bring through. So after a fraud is committed, the money is definitely laundered. Definitely on the money that you've got through fraud, you don't pay tax. So tax evasion will always follow. Right? Nobody's going to declare this income. And if you have to evade tax, you will use multiple structures. You will use SPVs, special purpose vehicles. Okay, two disclaimers from my end. One is that I'm a very fast speaker. So please feel free to tell me, go slow. And the other thing is that because I've been using these terms so frequently, SPVs, UBOs, PVs, I might just by unintentionally use them, but not tell you the full form of it. So please stop me there. These two things that I'm really bad at. So once fraud happens, once fraud is committed, the money is laundered, tax evasion happens, and of course, asset recovery happens. There are a lot of efforts that go into asset recovery. Globally, only 1 to 2% of the money that is laundered is actually recovered. So despite all the efforts, because of the cross-border constraints, because of the international laws, it's very difficult to recover this money. And that's what makes this exercise very, very intense. Terrorist currency, nobody talks about money laundering. And something very serious, then the September 11th attack happened. Okay, once the September 11th attacks happened, people started knowing where did this money come from to do this attack. And all this money came through the money that was laundered through these terrorist organizations that actually funded the attack. After that, people started establishing what is the nexus between money laundering and terrorist financing. Everybody spoke about fraud, but nobody talked beyond that. So this was actually an eye-opener for the entire industry. So this is actually one of the biggest threats, because the bad actors there are definitely using these illicit funds for certain activities which are not good for anybody. Sanctions. Sanctions is again some term which possibly you and I as chartered accountants do not know. They are basically trade bans which are there to impose a financial penalty on a country or on an organization or on an individual. And especially in today's time with the kind of geopolitical tensions that are there. So suppose there's a war and you want to discourage the country from going into war. You give them a financial kind of a financial constraint so that they don't do it because you put a trade ban so people cannot export or import to that country. And there are a lot of sanctions which are there which have been imposed. Sanctions have been imposed on Russian businessmen. They've been imposed on many organizations, on many trades.
Yeah.
So that yes, absolutely. Iran, all of them have sanctions imposed. US sanctions are there, EU sanctions are there. UN sanctions are there. So a lot of sanctions that have to compare. This may or may not be relevant for you right now, but as we progress, you'll see how this tool is used very effectively. Okay, so the point that I'm trying to bring around here, whether it is a cyber fraud, whether it is a compliance program like a FATCA, for example. If FATCA has come in with the intent of having a check on where are the funds lying, whether it is for US citizens or no. And in today's time, nobody can say I have nothing to do with it because a lot of these laws have extraterritorial reach. It's not just implied to your organization, irrespective of where you're placed, you have to be compliant. And that's why compliance has gained so much of attention in today's time. So one thing that is common amongst all of these is intent. Okay, you might do anything today. For example, you might do a default, a loan default. But if it was not a willful default, it's not a fraud. So intention is very important. And that's a commonality across this. Okay, the magnitude of financial crime. Can anybody tell me what is the global GDP? The global GDP collectively, I mean, according to the latest figures, is around $100 trillion. Okay, and what is the magnitude of financial crime collectively? All these domains that I spoke on the previous slide. So almost 8 to 10% of the global GDP is impacted only by financial crime. Whether it is wildlife trafficking, it is drug trafficking, human trafficking, corruption, bribery, counterfeiting of products, all of this. So you can imagine at what rate financial crime is growing. You read about what everything in the newspaper, but that's all. The number of cases that you hear, the volume that you read, they're very, very small numbers. 8 to 10% of the global GDP is actually lost because of this. So the impact is huge. And okay, this is something which will be equated. What are the various modes of moving and transferring money? One is the banking system, the financial institutions by which you earn money. Physical movement of goods, of money. So you see how mules carry money across borders, how Hawala was done. That's another alternative. Trade finance. Trade finance plays a very, very big role. In fact, most of the money is laundered through this route. And now the new age risk that has come up, which is crypto. Crypto is something which all of us know. Anonymous, easy, not asset based. Very easy to launder money. So these are the various things. And that's why I think in today's time, everybody should be aware that the risk that we talk is beyond credit risk. It includes financial crime risk, reputational damage. Once your reputation is at stake, for example, of ATM, people will move away from it. If they've not been compliant, if there have been some lapses that have been happening, everybody will try it. Sanctions risk, very, very big risk again. Non-compliance with global regulations, you might be dealing with XYZ country and XYZ vendor in an XYZ country without even knowing how this is going to impact you. For example, if you've done a trade transaction and you used a vessel which has been sanctioned. For example, if you used a ship which was manufactured in Iran, sanctions applies to you. Because you cannot deal with any entity on which sanctions have been imposed. Cryptocurrency and digital risk, artificial and machine learning. Great. It's a double-edged sword. It has its own benefits and it has its own risks. Everybody knows about DeepSeek, ChatGPT. They are a blessing for us. They are using it, but nobody knows the other side of it. So I think in today's time, what is most important is, if you don't want to become redundant, is to be a professional tomorrow. Continuously learn, engage, understand what are all these risks. And I think CAs are the best equipped because of their detailed approach, their strategic thinking, their eye for detail, they understand numbers. They're the best people who can actually monitor and detect frauds. So while this might not be in your, agenda, in your scope of work, but I think each one of us can be a huge role in this. So that is about it. Now, what you look at generally and what you don't look at is what I'm going to be talking about. So what you look at? We all look at financial information, we look at business structures and operation, material contracts, information, employees, legal issues, and we know that all of this is covered in the balance sheet also. Right? If there are legal cases that are being filed, FIRs that are being filed against the company, customer complaints that are being filed, all of this is visible in the balance sheet and the audited results of it. This is some information which is easily available to us. So we can interpret this information, we can see it, and we can understand if there's something going wrong. But the question is, how do we look beyond this? And that's why my topic comes looking beyond numbers. Because if everything surfaced on the balance sheet of a company, fraud would never happen. A Satyam would never happen, a Bhushan Steel would never happen, so many other cases would never happen, right? So the question is that what is missing? So what do you miss out? Here. This case study, and I would really encourage all of you to be participated, there's nothing like a wrong or right answer. If you look at these figures, does it trigger a thought? Any thought triggers to your mind? Anything, please.
Manufacturing sales is down. Instead of sales having more than double.
Can you elaborate on that? You're on the right path, but you need to elaborate.
Now that the increase now, private investment has come out, what is also that investment in the
Yes.
assets.
Absolutely. So I mean, this is quite a easy one, but sometimes what happens, we don't look at these figures. Now what is happening is, that there's a huge capital investment that is happening by the company in 2013, and it has grown multifold. Okay, so if I'm investing into the manufacturing capacity of the company to enhance the production, has the production increased? If the production has increased, has the sales increased, not increased? If the sales has not increased, see, there could be multiple scenarios. Sales not increased because market demand was not there. There could be multiple factors, but you have to question, why did that happen? If you start questioning, that's where your investigation starts. If you don't ask questions, you wouldn't know. But this is the case of Bhushan Steel, and here are the figures. Of course, the figures have been changed by me, but this is what happened. And this indicates that the money was actually siphoned off. The money did not go into the machinery or into the capital investment. It went elsewhere. And this is a typical case where it happened. Okay, so you can see that the 15,000 crores has increased to 34,000 crores, a very heavy investment that we've done. But the manufacturing sales only increased from 12,000 to 15,000. Okay, it takes time, okay, for the capacity to build up, for it to start operating at an optimum level. I understand. 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, has this multiplied, not multiplied? Why? Question. The minute you start questioning, that's the time when you come across a lot of people studies.
Dimension of the and building to install this machineries.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's the thing. You start looking at figures. You look at why there's a substantial increase, and is this translated into another increase elsewhere? If not, why not? It's all about questioning. See, nobody is going to tell you apparently that भाई हमने ये पैसा यहाँ पे park कर दिया. Nobody is going to confide in you, right? It's for you to read these figures, read between the lines.
Fixed assets turnover ratio.
Absolutely, absolutely. So all the ratios.
Diversion of funds.
Absolutely, diversion of funds. And we've seen so many multiple cases of money is getting siphoned off by the promoters, by the people who are running the organization. Okay, another very good case study, and maybe you can look at it. And whatever information you require is on the screen. Can anybody tell me why is there a red flag here? What is alerted and why? Anybody see, there's nothing like a right or wrong answer. Absolutely nothing. But they'll get shot in the details, which triggers. Okay, let me give it out.
Tires are missing. The details are missing in that.
Okay, okay.
What is it?
Anything else?
Forest
Okay, possible. Anything else?
There is only one purpose food and five, so many commodity.
Possible.
Commodity is.
Size turnover is very exact figure.
Round figure. Possible, maybe I've just rounded it up. See, none of these thoughts are irrelevant. They could add up. But the most critical, and that's why I always say the most critical is important, which means the day of flooded with data. You can't look at every figure, every balance sheet, every thing in manual detail. But the biggest mismatch leads to an investigation. And here the biggest mismatch is what is the nature of the business? Into manufacturing of power and electricity, right? And what is the commodity code that they used in the HSN? Tires. Can you see this here? Okay. Now this itself triggers a thought, okay, bhai, इसका business क्या है and what is he exporting or importing? There's a huge mismatch there. You're at least questioning what were you doing with tires? See, all this is valid. Whatever each one of you have said will add up there. Will add up your thoughts and you'll start connecting the dots. You'll say, oh, this was there, this was the mismatch. What's next that I need to look at? So you start connecting the dots. But what is the main thing that triggers your thought? What's the most important is what you need to see. Okay? And does everybody agree with me on this?
Yeah.
Excellent. Great. Now, trade transactions, where I said in my first slide was, why is trade used as the biggest thing to camouflage money laundering? As the vehicle of money laundering. Okay? Easiest way. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Increase the sales price, reduce the purchase.
Absolutely.
Don't have anything, I will give the credit,
Yes.
I will raise the debit. Come what you, maybe you keep on moving, I will have the need.
Right. So when I was doing an audit of a company, the company was exporting 60,000 units. Fair enough, good, I'm happy, good sales. I just had a look at what is the manufacturing capacity of this company. The manufacturing capacity was only 30,000. There are the additional 30,000 units coming. There's no entry for any resale. So there's no entry for trading. So where is the 30,000 units coming from? So bonus units. I wish. क्योंकि उसको bonus area होता. तो एक बड़ा manufacturer उसके part के 20 में बेच दो.
We could take a focus purchase.
Yes, very small things, but very important. Okay, I was looking at an invoice in which the simple thing that I had written in Excel sheet was price quantity divided by the price per unit. Okay, and this is the formula that they were applying throughout, and nobody was even looking at it. The company was into sale of mobiles. Okay, so they divided 10,000 by 56, for example. Okay, how can I export a number with decimals of mobile or fraction? It's not practical, right? I'm going 2.5 mobile battery. What is 2.5 mobile? उन्होंने देखा ही नहीं, क्यों नहीं देखा? Because they had the formula fixed in intent. Intent is not to do business. Intent is to pass the money into money laundering. So these are some triggers. Okay. So under and over invoicing, very, very big thing. And then I will also explain which are the industries where it's very difficult to ascertain the value of the goods. So under and over invoicing is very, very easy to do. Okay, vague description of goods. They will never write the right description of goods. Why? Because if they write the right description of goods in their invoice, something which doesn't have a value addition, it is easy for you to ascertain the value of that good. Right? I will never write I'm exporting an Apple phone if my intent is not to do so. Because आपको पता होगा कि Apple phone का cost ये है, something which is a no-brainer for you to do. I will say this with this loaded, with this package, with this PV, and that's why it's priced at XYZ price, a price which you cannot cost verify. Okay, then consignment price, just like how I explained, 30,000, 60,000. 60,000 export कर 30,000 manufacture कर apparently forged documents. Port far from customer's location. Okay, I might be staying close to the port. You know, one of the biggest mismatches that happens is customs does not see documents and a bank does not see goods. This is the biggest gap. But this is the reality of trade. Customs को documents से पता नहीं है कुछ भी. They are not going through all your invoices, your bill of lading, all that stuff. And bank cannot do the code and check actually cash report. So there's a huge gap which is manipulated. And if I'm using a code where the controls are more lax, where I have a setting where nobody is going to look much, they are understaffed. I'm doing it intentionally, but everybody knows today the cost of logistics is very high. If I'm exporting from a port which is far, beyond my reach or where my manufacturing, where I have something which is close by, what is the reason for doing that? Question, again, question, you are the only person who can question. If you question, the person will have to think twice what to answer if the intent is to turn the person. Okay, another very, very interesting thing. Don't take anybody at face value. And when you want to know about fraud, don't take anybody at face value. This book was being sold on Amazon. E-commerce platform, Amazon does its vendor due diligence. I don't deny it. I give them do credibility for it. But how much will they do? They have so many vendors. What all do they see?
Yes.
Okay, now this book was being sold, fair enough. Book is being sold for $555. ठीक है भाई, अच्छा है, you price it so well. People are buying it also, huge sales on Amazon. Amazon is also happy. Vendors also happy. Everybody is happy. $555 is not a huge amount. But when multiple copies are bought, multiple people are buying, you can imagine the amount it can accumulate to them. And this is a cartel which is operating. I am even not going to buy this book. And it's not meant to be bought by us. It's been meant to transfer money through a legitimate source, a legitimate portal, e-commerce portal, from one person, from multiple people to one person. That is the intent, okay? And how do you know this intent also? For example, a very small check. If you do a search on this guy, Patrick Leaves, okay, that this is the only book he has written, he is not a known author. You must never have heard of him, and he has no other book that he's published ever. Still, you're paying him $555, see कुछ लिखा होगा. Chalo, let's turn one page of book and see. It's all auto-generated text which you can find through ChatGPT. Because his intent is not to sell the book. It's not to write a book. The intent is to launder the money through this.
How does it happen in this case?
So, for example, it's you. You're the author of the book.
I'm not sure.
You're the author of the book. You have your account open. I want to transfer money to you. How do I transfer money to you?
There are multiple people who are going to do this, right?
Multiple people who are in your network with the intention to transfer money to you.
Correct.
Right? I will buy 1,000 books. I will have an education institution. मुझे यही topic पढ़ना है सबसे.
The money is from abroad and it is outside.
If you get it into a company which has no other work, then you can use it at your discretion. Because discreetly the money is not transferred to you through a banking channel. Credibility is not, nobody is questioning that money. Tomorrow I'm being a foreign remittance, मुझे 1,000 पेपर तो देने पड़ते हैं. Right? I just have to start to start. I started today, tomorrow, day after. 500 करके मैं आपको 1 महीने 2 महीने 3 महीने में जितनी nobody is questioning it. Why is there not questioning कि इतने सारे पैकेट क्यों खरीदी मुझे स्टाफ करके नहीं खरीदी. मुझे अच्छी बात है किताबें पढ़ाने में. Who asked you? Who questioned you? See the question.
Get the books.
किसने check करा? किसने check करा? Who said to check? Who has said to
Delivery has to be there.
the people who are buying the books from you will never complain to Amazon that you book illegally because they intentionally did this transfer to you. They were not expecting to read the book, not to get the book. What was their objective? Objective was to transfer the money to you. That's it. Detail.
Create two documents, buying and selling in a transfer.
Absolutely easy source of transferring money, not questionable by anyone. This was actually cracked down because the volume of sales was so huge that even Amazon could like it can't do it. And after 7 years, it got to know.
So commission.
Huh? Was more than happy of it. The e-commerce platform is happy, they are making money.
हरी भी जाएगी लेकिन वो पड़ेगा कौन? Intent is still order ना.
That's what I'm saying. Intent is the most important. Intent is the most important. And this is a real time case. Anything that's showing on this platform, somebody keeps moving a news. I was questioning you because I'm thinking that particular question.
I'm getting shocked for relating this money. Like, I have everything also starting from the
But that's.
इतना पैसे तो उसका चला जाता है ना बैंक
But चला जाता है because right money. What is the cost of money?
We know what to utilize those. Our can definitely find.
Then I will build that into the pricing. I will build it into the pricing. It's okay. See, I am okay paying money to people, intermediaries who are coming along. As long as my objective is getting.
People to be charged, we just have to pay.
10% credit the cost. But that's my cost of remittance. That's it. That's my cost of remittance.
Beating the system.
Beating the system around. Okay, insurance case study. Now again, very nice one. Okay, for example, I have an NRI client. NRI client says, I have multiple policies with you. I'm giving you a high amount of business. I'm all across the world. I'm giving you money. I'm giving you a lump sum amount. You adjust it towards XYZ policies that I've taken. Whatever is the balance after deducting my premium, you refund to me. You're like, good enough. I'm happy to do that. The money sits in my account for a few days. I get interest on it. And I anyway want to please my customer because pleasing the customer and maintaining that is the most important. The question is that when you look into this transaction, you come to know that the money is coming from another bank account, that the refund is going to another jurisdiction in another name. Question is, why is it happening? What is the nexus? Why are you doing so? So it's all about intent, intent, intent. What is the intention? And this is a very, very simple, again, a very legit route to park your money. So in this, there's no problem if you are doing a lump sum amount transfer, you're making overpayments. There's tied to the new insurance policies, you've given good business to the insurance company. But D is the red flag. The customer has requested the refunds on excess premiums to be made on offshore corporation. Offshore corporation. Okay, offshore corporation, where is it? Whether it is in Cayman, Switzerland, wherever, that's another thing. Which I will come to next. This is, in a way, my story and the reason I got into financial crime. Okay, so I've been an investment manager throughout my life. And I've been doing investment banking deep, and this was many years back. And nobody questioned the color of money. If the money is coming to me for private equity funding, I am happy, I am sorry. I will not question the color of the money. And I might question the money, but the desperation of doing business is so high that there are a lot of details that I did not look into. Okay, and it's not like I didn't look into. There were a very good team of CA. I worked with DSC Merrill, so I know what investment banking entails, how to do your due diligence. Everything was done by me. Believe me, it was done by me. Okay, but now I will tell you very interesting facts about this case. This was a full cartel operating, and they had hierarchy. It's not like I was reporting to only one person. Every time I had to send a mail for my due diligence, technical due diligence, financial due diligence, I had a different set of people to whom I had to mark CC, BCC, and every time I interacted also with a different person. I met these people, my client met these people also. And this was a very big company who was getting funded. Everything was great, spirits were very high, $1 million deal. Okay, but what triggered and how did God save me? One day before the deal was going to get closed, and the money, the $1 million was going to come into my customer's account. They said you have to pay me 1% due diligence fees. They said, I'm happy to pay due diligence fees, but balance is not told to us earlier. In any of the documents, in any of the conversations, in any of the mails, nothing was mentioned. They said, no, this is the process, you should not read about it. We went through all the documents again. They said, no, this was something which was explicitly understood. You are supposed to be paying us 1% due diligence. The minute you pay this 1% due diligence fee, he will remit the money to you. My customer said 1%, nothing doing, just remit. He said, just wait for a second, let us think, let us process why is this 1% being asked. And luckily, he did not transfer this 1%. Had we transferred this 1%, all our communication would have stopped. Where?
All that dropped and dropped.
1% of $1 million is a lot of money. Good enough. And name the government. And believe me, the person who was doing this deal, the person who was caught, who was on the other side of the table, he knew investment banking to the core. मतलब मैं तो सोचती हूँ कि वो investment bank में ये fraudster बन गया. Because he asked me so many questions. भाई सीए के लिए आप questions पूछोगे due diligence में, तो मुझे लगेगा कि तुम्हें project में invest करने के लिए interest है. He was asking me so many details. Every time I mail to him, 8 months I was only sending mails to him, telling him our justification, I have done this projection, I have put this figure, what is the cost, what is the application, everything I was doing. ऐसा तो नहीं है ना कुछ ऐसे ही देखो बना देगा चाहे किसी को भी मेरी टीम में asking the question.
become full, they don't want to ask anything. They don't want to ask anything. Sir, anything after that, anything beyond that, no.
See, if a person is saving you money, sir, and he's not asking you anything, तो ये तो सबसे बड़ा red flag है. ये तो सबसे बड़ा red flag है. How is he asking you? He doesn't know your credit card
I
order.
made a mistake of not asking all the questions. I choose to ignore who the business analyst.
No, you are giving me money. See, when you are getting money, I'm not asking questions. When you are giving me money, you will ask me 100 questions. If you are asking me
See,
good,
the same
valid
thing I want,
questions.
this is the same thing I want to articulate. When you do a deal, anything beyond this, anything beyond, is it close or not? If you don't ask that, he is just asking for right.
So what I'm trying to say is that he asked me many questions. So it's a planned fraud. See, this is a very organized crime. Don't think this is not organized. This is a very organized industry. They are way ahead of you. You have to have a different set of thinking, a different set of vigilance. And then in the inside, क्योंकि ऐसा धक्का लगता है ना कि भाई मुझे कुछ बनाना था इतने टाइम से.
Yes.
And 8 months sweat is gone. I did not have monetary loss. Yeah, but I had a time loss. It has better impact on me till date. 8 months of my time I invested into the deal. And what did it give me? Forget zero, but it gave me so much of, it questioned my degree. कि भाई CA बन के नहीं मुझे पता नहीं चला मुझे उल्लू बनाना था. It questioned my degree. And then I started finding out. And believe me, anytime I come across this information, I always scan this guy. These people, this organization, every person I spoke to, I keep finding them on LinkedIn. None of them have a LinkedIn profile. Their website doesn't have the people who are on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the biggest professional network today. If a company is a very big private equity fund, he will definitely have an existence on LinkedIn. At least 2 employees, 3 employees of him will be on LinkedIn. What is his website containing? I read about us, everything I read, but I never read about what deals he had done. We asked him what deals are done. So he said, this is money which is parked by people, which we don't disclose what are the deals that we do because of privacy laws. Because privacy is another big game now, right? And it was that time also. Nobody is disclosing information because of that. So very less information that you can see. Inflow from jurisdictions with secrecy laws. One big obstacle for you. Why national nature in terms of investment? Who is the host country? Ask these questions. Who is the host country? Where is the money coming from? If the host country is Singapore, then why is the money coming from Cayman? For example. Okay, so if my private equity fund is established in XYZ country, for example, then why is the money coming from another country? Because that's not the host country. So again, that indicates that this was some money that was laundered, which now through layering is being transferred to you. Through multiple layers, through multiple SPVs, the same transferred to you. So these are the questions. What is the end use? Complex organization structures, it's held in offshore layers, and red flags. All these emails of all these people was coming from the same IP address. I don't know how much technically you'll understand, but IP address is your device address. So that means the same person was writing to me, posing himself as a different person in the hierarchy. And all the CDs and BCDs that I was marking actually was going to the same person, which I didn't know also. Okay, officers, we met the person, but do you know the structure of co-working spaces? You don't come to know who's your staff, who's not your staff. Everybody is sitting in the office, you're not going to go and ask. And you belong to this organization, no, this co-working space doesn't let you understand because tomorrow name date nahi hai bahar aapki, right? And it's shared services, it looks excellent, 100 people are sitting there. When I went to his office, I was impressed. I didn't even know because this co-working space are not coming to India that time. I didn't know there was something like a co-working space. I was impressed. 100 लोग बैठे हुए इसके ऑफिस में काम तो कर रहा है, ये मेरा पैसा तो देता है. Sorry?
One organization has a multiple employees of same organization.
They don't have the same email ID. Email ID is different. IP address is the same. IP address is the same. Use everything to find it out. There are a lot of open source tools. If you go search how to find an IP address, just type that on the internet, you will get the answer. You'll find the open source tool for that. Okay, unusual URL of site names. And I'll tell you why this is also important, because the person who wants to do business in a true sense will always spend a lot of time on his site, on his portal name, on what he's writing on the portal, if the intention is to do genuine business only then. Today nobody is uneducated, nobody does not have resources. आज हर किनारे पे तो आपको एक वेबसाइट डेवलपर, पोर्टल डेवलपर बैठा हुआ है. right? ChatGPT से आप text भी download कर सकते हो. But if the intent is to do genuine business, only then I will spend time on my portal and what I put on my portal. How much information I have put on my portal is very important. And through social media, if they are the same people who are there on the site, you can find out. So a lot of such small things, kinds of low quality profiles, about our section, open source tools, which I will also show you. And one most important thing for anybody not to fall into any fraud is that always remember a fraudster does not play on your IQ. He plays on your emotions, on your EQ. आप कभी भी एक fraud का case देखोगे, he is making either exciting you, making you angry, making you anxious, making you act upon the movement, upon the spur of the movement. He will never give you time to think. जैसे आज आपने नौकरी के लिए परचेज कर ली, आपका ऑफर गया. आज आपने मुझे ट्रांसफर नहीं मिला, ये हो जाएगा, आपका अकाउंट बैन हो जाएगा. Fear, they create a fear. They make you act now because IQ सबके पास है, but EQ is human intelligence, which takes time. The minute I say अभी के अभी करो, आपका बेटा हॉस्पिटल में है, they are playing on your emotions. So take a minute to think. It's a break. कहते हैं ना break मछली पकड़ने के लिए भी अपन निकालते हैं. That's the way they do fish. So please think before you do anything. Okay, and I think there are so many red flags that I can share with you, but very important things, very small things, you know. For example, if he's doing business, then where is his office located? Is it in a residential building? It's okay if it's in a residential building. But then what is the magnitude of business you are doing? Can this magnitude of business be sustained from the setup? What is the nature of your business? Who are the people? If I'm saying I have 100 people staff and tomorrow I'm buying 200 computers, at least question is, आपके पास 100 लोग हैं तो हमने 200 computers क्यों purchase करे? Very small thing. It's a no-brainer. But it has to occur to you to question. Okay, frequent change of directors. This is a very great case study of seeing a meaningless capital structure. You see, authorized capital तो बहुत high है, but paid up capital बहुत low है. 1 लाख रुपया या उससे भी कम.
100 करोड़ रुपया ऑथराइज है.
And expenditure of name, that's right. But if you are an international company or whatever, like that, and this is typically a case of a shell company. Okay, can anybody say what's the difference between a shell company and a shell company?
It's not, it's just name thing. They're not doing the business actually.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
Individually completed, I would.
Is it SPV?
Both are SPVs. Now the difference between a shell company and a shell company is, a shell company is generally a company which has been formed and kept years back. So it has a history. It's not necessary that I've done business in that company, but it's a company which is there. Tomorrow, if you think that I want to set up a new business, and tomorrow you will get scope of vendor onboarding, which आपने तो ये भी अपना business का आपका experience क्या है? There only you will face the vendor onboarding. So what I'll do is I'll buy a shell company, a company which has been into existence for a while. I'll acquire that company and do business under that. And say you could doing activities under this business. Of course, turnover was not much of focus enough, but the company has been founded with a 3 साल running company actually. कोई बात नहीं. You not look at the figures, you say कोई बात नहीं, it's a well established company. That's a shell company. So shell companies are available on the dark web, on a lot of fraudsters are selling shell companies. They form companies, they sell them to you. Everything will be good structure, they have a everything has a package sold to you. So that your vendor onboarding or your credibility is enhanced. To enhance your credibility, that's the objective. What is a shell company? A shell company is a company which is formed to be the front face of you. It's the front face, that's a very thin line of distinction, but it's a very stark distinction. So what I'm doing is that I'm saying that this is my trust. For example, trust is the best case study I can give you. I have formed a trust. Everybody is happy that this is the trust being carried in the world. What else is the trust? Who is the person who is the beneficial owner? Who is the trustee? Who is the person who is actually benefiting out of it? And internationally and even domestically, most of the frauds are done using NGOs, charitable organizations, because they are not questioned as much, they are not taught. But it is important for you to know who are the people behind this NGO, what is the activity, most of the terrorist funding, and all the terrorist funding for the September 11 attack also happened through the substructure of it. Because nobody questions it, tax benefits are there, so many other benefits are there. Credibility is high, we will not question activities. So through the structure, but what is important for you to know is the structure. of the organization, and that is a typical share count. So that's a SPV which is used for a specific focus. The company itself might not be doing any business, but it might be a company which is formed and it might have multiple subsidiaries, or it might have multiple cross border transactions, but the core business might be very, very minimal. Okay, again, now for example, if your client is not registered for GST, lowest turnover is more than 40 lakhs, you think that ठीक है operational apps है इसको मैं बता दूं चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट हूं अब ये नहीं सोचो कि इंटेंशनल है पर आप ये सोचो क्योंकि ये सोचना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है और इसको क्वेश्चन करो जैसे आप क्वेश्चन करोगे आप देखोगे there's some reaction which is not acceptable or there's some justification which is again not acceptable but seek it. Okay. So multiple things like this, and a lot of times we see a lot of, I don't know how much I'll read, but there's so much being talked about money new accounts. There people are used, different accounts are used for parking money. Like आपने मेरे ड्राइवर को बोल दिया ये ट्रांजैक्शन में तुझे इतना पैसा देगा 1% तुझे इसका पैसा का दे दूंगा. Intention is to have multiple accounts open and then aggregate that money and launder it. And typically in those accounts you will see that at the end of the day the balance is negligible or even zero. Because they were only for entry. Debit entry, credit entry, both of them correspond. So that's the way it is. Now, what is most important is raising the corporate view, and which we always talk about. And also, I mean, all of you will be aware that we have our SBO rules, right? Significant beneficial ownership. And
That is the first and foremost.
yes, and that has been revised. Earlier it was 25%, now it has become 10% after the amendment. Why? Because
People are spreading.
they realize how this route has been exploited for a long time under PML Act.
Yes.
Right? So that is why have the SBO rules been the same? Why have they introduced, okay, the company rules for restriction on years? Because after the Ketan Pandey case, they realized how only one subsidiaries were being used to launder money. Multiple structures. See, layering is what is called layering. Placement, you place the money in the banking system. You're sorted. After you place the money, what do? You have to make it move. So through multiple transactions, through multiple entities, you form structures which are so complicated that today if I have an investigator have to do, I have to take information from so many other sources, from so many registrars, and then go into the crux of how does this money get processed, how did it get rotated, right? And it takes years to find that out. It's a huge exercise. So the more layering I do, the more complexity builds into it. So how complex I make it, the less likeliness of me being caught and the less likeliness of enforcement happening against me. And cross-border, the biggest tool that I use. See, your fraudster is so well, he does his studies so well, even I don't know. He knows the concept jurisdiction में mutual agreements नहीं है to share information. What information you can see from the registrars they not see. Which are the secrecy laws in that jurisdictions. What information will be given, what information will be held back. They do this exercise. And that's how they form this entire, network of things. So it is very difficult for you to track it. Very difficult.
It's going to get difficult day by day.
It is difficult already.
More than 180.
I work in this domain, I work with the banks, I work with law enforcement, I work with the regulatory bodies. I know the amount of sweat that they put into this, फिर भी नहीं पता चलता. See, within a fraction of a second, the money travels. The banking system has become so efficient now. Right? Your investigation starts, then to seize that asset, you don't even know which sources the money is gone to. We've seen what happened with Neerav Modi, we've seen what happened. Years the cases are going, the money is exchanged so many hands, it's difficult to recover the money. But what you need to do is that at the origination itself, when these transactions are getting originated, when these structures are being formed, that time you question why is the structure being formed? Is there a business rationale behind it? If there is, good enough. Okay, tomorrow if I'm exporting, for example, let me give a very simple example. I'm exporting coffee, I'm a coffee manufacturer. I'm exporting coffee to Brazil. Okay, will you buy my logic or you will not buy my logic? Why? Brazil is the biggest country of coffee. Why am I exporting coffee to them? I'm exporting rice to a country which has so many paddies. Why? And they don't manufacture enough, question it. And I'm telling you 100%, I will overprice that transaction because my intention is not that. I will say high quality rice, उसकी चाहे economy drain में हो, purchasing power नहीं हो. But that's my way of doing the money laundering, right? So when I say under invoicing, over invoicing, sometimes you just have to apply your mind. What is he exporting at what price? And is the economy that going to sustain these volumes at this price? कोई खाएगा भी नहीं चावल इतने महंगे. That's the question. So sometimes common sense helps you. And I'm not telling you more about every geography. जो Google search ना आजकल Google search पे सब मिल जाता है. Highest growing, highest producing country. I don't like it, so don't look it up. Just go to Google and search. How many things do you remember who's manufacturing one? Okay.
Give the price also, what is the price band, is it absolutely 30 to 90?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know now which economy can pay what.
Right. See, that you know, the intention seems to be questionable.
That's why I'm saying that a lot of things speak beyond figures. See, figure may it's good, I'm having high sales, high turnover, I'm doing high level of exports. To whom am I exporting? Who are my clients? Who are the third party associates? Where are my supplies coming from? What am I exporting? Why am I exporting? Question why is structured? Because when all these originate, that's the time you can block it.
What happened? Why?
What happened to Byju's? So see, like everything, they are all allegations. Nobody can say who did what and why. So the thing is, when you diversify your services, you diversify into multiple things. I am not the right person to comment on all these things.
I'm not an investigating agency, to answer your
Yes. And maybe this doesn't talk about, but I'm just saying that there are a lot of things which are a lot of clues that are there everywhere. Okay, and again, who, as I mentioned, high risk jurisdiction businesses know your customer. It's more than establishing the customer and the beneficial owner's identity. It means knowing the business, occupation, income, turnover, expected sale activity from that account. So a lot of things that you need to know apart from just the numbers. And that's why I say looking beyond numbers is very important. Okay, now if I go to the next one. There have been a lot of amendments that are made.
Do all the due diligence, right? You're selling, you're auditing a company, you have these patients, you feel suspicious, something is missing. What next?
See, there is in our profession, there's a huge customer conflict. I'm engaged by the customer and I'm questioning my customer. Right? That's the reason that in 2023, under the PLLA, DLSBs are passed. We are called gatekeepers.
About reporting part, like, you are auditing, you are building a company, you are bound by certain rules that you have to report as much, like, you are reporting. A lot of this comes, see, as far as fraud is concerned, normally we have to be about it, because normal circumstances, you cannot, unless it is proved, otherwise you cannot say that you have done this fraud.
So see, you have to do it very tactfully. I understand the customer conflict and I'm not going to lose my client for this. I'm not
It's
going
not
to.
to say.
ये कहेगा ये तो बहुत question पूछता है next year इसको मैं change कर
ठीक है,
दूंगा.
that's okay to me. Question is that reporting part.
Reporting part of it. So how do you report it?
This comes.
Yeah, see, one of the tools is the whistleblower policy, right? You can always be a whistleblower, which is anonymous.
We are exporting.
You can always,
We are exporting goods to Iran and many countries, which are suspicious like.
yeah, so you can always file a suspicious report now.
So, we don't dare to ask him, what is your beneficial owner, what is the source of supply, and what is what the ultimate customers. But we cannot dare to ask him, I don't want to deal with him.
Stop about reporting, we are all reporting entities.
You are all reporting entities.
You can report it on the
So you can report it to the FIU.
Financial intelligence
Yeah.
unit, where your name is not.
Yeah. So you file an STR, right, a suspicious transaction report. With the suspicion transaction report, you mention what is the ground of suspicion. In your GOS, you mention. And then they disseminate, FIU aggregates all this information, all the STRs which come from all reporting entities. So all banks are reporting entities. They accumulate it and then they disseminate it to the law enforcement, who then take it up and further investigate.
Right.
It's long, but it's very fast. It's very fast.
You have got a limited time of reporting.
So you actually have to file an STR immediately or within 7 days. Earlier it was within 7 days, now they say as soon as you see the suspicion, flag it. You might find an STR which might be a false positive, हो सकता है, not a value. You might file it as a precaution also, okay, very, at least I'm keeping that because the onus is come on you now as a transport. To file it.
Can you put this your observation is most probably part of accounts
Absolutely, you can attend your order suspicion.
and
Absolutely,
always possible.
absolutely. You must
Yes,
be aware.
I used to went further once.
All kinds of doing it. Everybody is doing it. Yes, brokers are doing it. All of us are doing it. They're filing STIs with the US. The more strength you provide to the US, the easier it is for the institution.
We require the vendors, GST return or bank statement, like we are not the police authority something. Is there any way to obtain?
See, the
Like
way,
if I'm finding that one of the vendors is suspicious right now, it's dealing only with me, my company, I want to prove it. So is there any way to get it official?
so I will show you, I mean, see, there's no way, honestly, you have to exercise your mind to see what are the various ways from where I can see different type of information. Some information you can get from the net in terms of what are the other activities, what is the structure, ROC details, yeah, or, different places you can validate information. But there's no one-stop solution for this. You have to use multiple things to do.
Like I got the income tax return 26 and all these cuts, this.
See, कहीं पे आपको कुछ clues मिल सकती है. I'm not saying this is right, this is wrong. But there are multiple ways that you have to exercise and be factor. Enough. Yes. Money laundering inflow and outflow. So money laundering includes inflow and outflow because money laundering composes of three stages. Placement, clearing and integration. So when you are doing placement, that means the money that you have got through illicit, through predicate offences under PMLA is come into the banking system. When you do, that's the inflow, right? Then when you do the layering, you exchange it through many hands, many structures, so that it loses its origin. आपको पता नहीं चलेगा ये पैसा कहाँ से आया, किससे आया, क्यों आया. So you do multiple structures and then integration because you convert that black money into white money, so you can use it to buy real estate, cars, everything, right? Until unless if you don't do convert it into white money, you're restricted from number of activity. Until unless you want to do some illicit trade out of it, like drug financing, terrorist financing, wildlife trafficking. If your intent is that, then you might not want it to come into the system. It can continue to be in the background. But at some point, because of the banking system, our bank is you have to engage with the bank, with the financial institution, right? So placement भी आपको वैसे करना है, inflow भी बढ़ पाएगा, आपको outflow भी वहाँ है. So you have to be tactful enough, to form that structure. So again, there is a lot of amendments in these acts, and all these amendments have been with the intention of payment of money laundering. For example, the Benami Act.
But all government scheme has been done through money laundering.
Yeah. See, even Ponzi schemes and all. Now, a typical case of an MLM or a Ponzi scheme, what do? They excite you. They're giving you a return, which is like the Madoff scheme, which was one of the most famous. The Madoff was, he was an investment banker, highly profile, nobody questioned. He is giving you awesome returns. He is giving you returns which are beating the market. You are happy because you're getting a return, but when you get a return, you're happy, the deal is dropped. And the people who are down the line are the ones who suffer. The money is already got siphoned off. And so many MLM schemes happening and so many, as I say, savvy people investing into these schemes because they lure you. They lure you by the attractiveness of the returns. They are playing again on your emotions, not on your IQ.
Recent one is the other end that we are.
He will always tell you that I have diversified my portfolio in such a way that it is not driven by market performance. I am leading the market because I am so intelligent, experienced, blah, 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 blah. Why should you buy that story? He is not some superpower. Please
All
question.
this is happening now, government never steps in before, it always after.
See,
See, I mean, in the practical thing, people talk about they give all message and everything, but.
Also, other people like me only. Government is not taken forward.
Yeah, aware about this happening, but nothing is being.
see, awareness.
Prevention is better than cure, right?
If we make each one aware about this.
So the government is to deal. It impacts so much.
आप बोलिए हर जगह लोग हैं OTP मत दीजिए be aware फिर भी लोग दे रहे हैं. Why? Because at that point in time for you it to occur to you not to do it is the biggest thing. So awareness.
Yeah, I can see that also.
No, agencies are not involved. I have met the best of the people and I think each of us should be proud of India. Because there's a very big evaluation that India has undergone, which is called the pattern evaluation. That's a financial action task force, which goes through all the countries and they evaluate what are the money laundering laws and framework that you have in place to trace this kind of activity. And India amongst the first, I think amongst only 4 countries which have got a very great. And this has happened very recently. After 10 years of mutual evaluation, and it happens to every country. It's a US formed body, but it's an independent body. It goes to every country to assess the money laundering and terrorist financing risk. And India has really got an update. And if you meet the people in the ministry, in the FIU, I call them from the events. And the command that they have on the subject and anything, and anyway, they are very impressive. So I would not buy this that law enforcement is involved in it. They are definitely not. They are just too smart, just too smart. You speak to EOW, you speak to all the law enforcement agencies. They are very well aware of it.
There is some newspaper for something from what happens to go to the police station. Let us say people are standing in the queue. I mean, no,
Yeah,
if nobody is taking FIR.
Police station is the biggest problem because अभी वो लोग cyber selling नहीं करना चालू करा है.
It's only can happen this.
That is one part where that training needs to happen. It's happening slowly, but at least that awareness has come. That's why these cyber police department put up a develop and or police station. So it takes time to build this machinery. It's
I
not
used
easy.
to receive money into my account
Hmm.
from UPI.
Hmm.
So I went to police station to crime. Said तुमको पैसा मिल रहा है तो
You have.
भाई. Okay. Then I got money next day also. Card फिर आ गए. Then I had to from the local Maharashtra home ministry. I put a word at the local police. Then they entered.
But you know, common people are just.
Yeah. So I'm going to share a website with you all also. Many websites. I've consolidated a list for reporting any of these suspicious activities that are happening. Go to the site. They're very active. They'll look at your case and they'll act upon it. It's one of the easiest things to do. And I will share this resource. In fact, if you go to my site, which is fincrimeexpert.com, and many of you all might say, why have you named it FinCrime Expert? Are you an expert in financial crime? देखो जो financial crime करता है उसमें खुद को कभी expert नहीं बोल रहे. I would be behind the bar.
Really, hundred of people who are 10,000 times ahead of you.
Our domain is called financial crime compliance internationally. So financial crime compliance doesn't mean you're complying with financial crime. It means you're combating.
Database has been compiled.
It means you're combating.
Database for all these.
Yes, a lot of it I've tried to consolidate and I'm still working every day on my site so that I can put as much information.
Corresponding databases can be cross-checked. The internal system will be very bad.
No, see, I'm only into the training part of it. If I go to the search, there are a lot of software. Yeah. A lot of software, a lot of tools that are developed. That's why to see what kind of fintechs and websites have come up. They have a lot of the lists maintained of all the bad actors. A lot of people who cases, there's a huge repository of these things for you to do checks. Yeah, that triggers sports, their red alert sports, lot of sports is happening in this moment. And banks are all using this, lot of clients have. Okay, also, this is typically the tax system of a tax having, and the common ones that you would have heard of are Cayman, Switzerland, Singapore, Luxembourg, British Virgin Islands. Okay? Objective, the way they allow you to set up shop is of course low tax rate, so there's always a tax leverage that you have. Ease of incorporation, very easy. एक दिन में company खोलो, दुबई में खोलनी है, पता तो कहाँ खोलनी है आपको. Out of the 700 आती, all of them are ready to open. रज़ाईखाना में खोलो, DIFC में खोलो, very easy, right? They want to attract foreign investment. So this is typically how these tax havens are formed. And financial secrecy. They will not disseminate information about the ultimate beneficial owner to anybody. You don't need to, honestly, don't need to click any pictures. All of this information is very well put on my site also. I mean, you're happy, I'm happy, you should play. But I just need it in the subject line. I don't think I'll share the presentation because all of this is on my site. Okay, and why are the shell companies created? Concealing ownership, facilitating money laundering. After you facilitate money laundering, there's a tax evasion, you evade sanctions, and then you engage in fraud. There's an entire cycle which follows. And a huge pattern of transactions. Once you develop an eye to see these transactions, man, you can start seeing so much of suspicion around you. If at all.
आपने जो 5 countries के नाम लेके हैं, in 2010 all these 5 countries, all the SPVs were created. And in 10 years, they have done so much of money laundering, they have done away with
I will
500.
tell you a very interesting fact, sir. Everybody knows US does all the policing in this world. In US itself, there are 5 states with their tax levels and have high secrecy laws. Delaware, Nevada, Wyoming, and 2 others. आप किसी कंपनी को देखेंगे ना, generally 80% of the companies are registered in Delaware. Otherwise, nobody will go to US. Nevada, again. So all the policing that US does and all the weight it throws around on everybody, no, in terms of what all they're doing for this after the September 11 attacks happened. There are a lot of ways out everywhere. So don't trust anybody and I have, okay, so these links, I'm not opening these links, but all these links are leading to my site. So if you click on any of these links, and I'll also share my site with you, which is something which I'm still in the process of. Okay, this is not being reflected here. Can this be, yeah, screen पे दिखा सकते हैं क्या? नहीं मैं वो साइट दिखाना चाहती हूँ इसी। Yeah, can you see? This is my site, which is filmcrimeexpert.com. And if you go to resources and you go to useful reads and links, you will see that I've covered a lot of these. And every day I'm kind of putting content together because I've just started this site a few months back. I've in fact just launched it last week. So when you go, you will see a lot of these topics that I'm talking about all listed here. And it will be an interesting read for you. Very insightful. For sure. And I've added a lot of references and links to international papers, findings, case studies, which will also be of interest for you to read. And one link which I would request all of you all to share with everybody is how to report a financial crime. Reporting cybercrime. Okay, so here I have listed what are the various sites you all can go to for reporting any frauds that happen with you. So we've listed a lot of them here itself. So if you read this, it is self-explanatory. You'll know what to do. So this is the least that you can do. See, if tomorrow, if you're suspecting that you've given out your OTP, anything that has happened which you should not have done, and afterthought is there that why did I do this? How do I now prevent anything from happening? Just go and block your accounts. Okay, if you're using, see, nobody in today's time cannot be digitally engaged. If I'm using a credit card and I've linked it to my Amazon Pay account or to any other account, ensure that my limit is capped 20,000, 30,000, 50,000. 30,000, 20,000 lose हुआ, चाहे मेरी गलती से हुआ या नहीं हुआ, it won't pinch me. But don't have a limit of 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakhs. Don't make yourself vulnerable. The account in which you really have your money, don't link it to any e-commerce platform, any site, anywhere. At the most, what you'll have to do, you'll have to keep refurbishing that limit. That's okay. That's just an effort. At least you are minimizing your risk to any of these engagements. Very, very important. See, few things that I would suggest everybody as to do. One is to not give information about yourself to anybody, anywhere, if it is not required. For example, social media, Facebook may have written my birth date. Why? So that people wish me. Okay. But what happens is that these are the personal data of myself which I have given. आज अगर एक बैंक अकाउंट आपका वेरीफाई करना है किसी को, so what is he going to ask you? Which आपकी birth date बोलो, आपका maternal name बोलो, right? These are the data points that he's looking for. But and you have only disseminated this on social media through various pages. Do not, even if you're giving anybody information, give minimal information only as much as required. So just be aware about all these things. Keep a balance if you're traveling internationally. You know that you're not going to need so much of money, park it into an FD or block it and go. So if you're going to a jurisdiction like Thailand, Vietnam, wherever, where you think there are a lot of hackers sitting, don't use a card, use a traveler's check. So just be a little vigilant. It's a very small effort, but it's a thought which will save you from a lot of trouble in the future. So do refer to the site and please socialize this page with everybody you know in your network. It will help them to simply get out of stress if something happens. Okay, and
Here again, I've put some regulations which are important. So I've kind of encapsulated, know the global norms, know the legal authorities, know the regulators, know the laws, regulations, what are the financial crime terms, useful resources and links. I'm making a huge repository here. I'm adding to it every day. You might not need too much information, but within a month, there'll be lots more on this site. Going back to my PPT. Okay. Typically, how do we gauge that this is an high-risk jurisdiction? Credit rating, sovereign debt. CRISIL, ICRA, Moody's, everybody has sovereign rating, this thing. Why am I, see, I'm not saying I will not engage, I would not do business with a high-risk jurisdiction. Business is my motive in life. It's where my bread butter is. But to be aware is equally important. Why am I dealing with these jurisdictions? Because they have a lot of risk associated with political instability, economic volatility, financial crime, regulatory framework. If tomorrow I want any law enforcement to happen in this jurisdiction, it will not happen. Because we don't have that machinery in place, infrastructure is not so. So tomorrow if I want to enforce any legal action against that company in that country, be rest assured it will not happen easily. Okay, intention of the politicians is not such. Maybe. So, and these are the risk factors that are associated to all these high-risk jurisdictions, and you can read about these high-risk jurisdictions. In fact, there's a lot of information that is available, and maybe I have that covered in my next slide also, which is on financial secrecy index. This is the financial secrecy index, which is published by the tax trust, which is the international body, where they accumulate a lot of data on this and they give them a rating. So if you look at these countries, it will give you names of countries which you have never thought have this kind of secrecy laws or risk. Just refer to this index. It's just a 2 minute job. After बोला ना किसको question करूँ क्या question करूँ, lot of information is on the net which is validated also, which is arrived through a lot of statistics and a lot of research that is being done on a continuous basis. Again, corruption perception index. And you will not believe this is a very interesting study that we did. Then we used so much of economics. Then we said that the countries which were on this index, on the corruption perception index, they had a very interesting pattern of capital inflow and capital outflow in their countries. Because there's a lot, like, I don't know how many have heard about the one MDD case. Please look into it. Very interesting case study. I wish I had so much of time because there's so much that I can talk. How much time do I have? Yeah. 15 minutes. So these are very useful resources. Again, they are all available to you. And maybe one tool that I can also share with you before we end is, I have many slides to go. These are the high risk industries, and the reason that if you are working as an accountant into an audit function into these high risk, you need to be more alert because most of these high risk industries are cash intensive. Okay, there is the way they are structured is that, for example, if you look at art markets, if people are selling paintings, they know your business of selling paintings. Nobody can say that this painting is going to cost X, Y, or Z. You cannot ascertain the value. A lot of things is done through exhibitions. So a lot of business is cash intensive. Jewelry also. Jewelry also. Right? Nirav Modi. I always wear Nirav Modi's pendant because it reminds me of the fraud he did. And this was the only thing that I bought from him. I never bought it again.
So we stopped selling, no?
Huh?
Now we stopped selling.
अभी मैं रोज उस pendant को देख के ऐसी कौन सी category करता था तो कोई 30,000 का बेचता था लेकिन उसने 1 लाख का बेचा. So it's all about how you market yourself. How, why people buying a Louis Vuitton is a coach. It's how you market and you take a market for yourself. Right? Nobody can say what is the leather that is used, what is the cost of the goods, production cost. Nobody can say it's a brand. That's a brand. So all these processes leverage on this branding. Big time.
Why no questions raised on them, I mean, regarding the source of funding? I believe there could be many illegitimate transactions taking place that way. In fact, they are being encouraged more and more.
Encouraged, like now if you say gaming industry or if you say casinos, I can't stop people from going to casinos. In India, we are not, casinos is not a legal business, right? We only have people go out to watch. So we are doing it as a country.
But every person might not want to do it, right? Because we also have to drive the economy. And see, the biggest factor for everybody is today economic growth. Right? It's not being facilitated through market, it's not, there's no trade leverage that I have. How will I make my economy grow? I can't stop a country from opening 10 casinos, 1,000 casinos. I can't stop it.
Biggest revenue for everything.
It's politically driven, it's driven by economic incentives. There's so many things, right? So today, like for example, I'm on the committee of IFSPA, which is the regulator for the city. And this city is being functioning within tax levels where you have a tax holiday. Now, the regulators are very aware that tomorrow people are not coming here only for tax leverage, they are coming to do actual business. And they're making regulations around it. But tomorrow, when this city has to compete with a DIFC or a company where there are more lax controls and there is this easy to open an account, definitely he will prefer that. But then how will I get FDI? I also have to have rupees 187.65. This is what I think. I mean, 87 cost earlier. It's a matter of concern to me. So I have to manage many walls. As a finance minister, my intent might not be that, but my intent, I'll have curbs put across so that I can minimize these activities. But I cannot say that these activities can be stopped. They are also important for your well-being nowadays. No, if I'm saying gaming, it's not stressful. So many other things that are met. Okay, there are a lot of early warning signals which RBI has issued, which many people have issued, which are very interesting to see. I've put a lot of this information on my site. Please read through it. I don't think, so if you had a tax rate, if you've had a default in payment, is it a willful default, not a willful default, costing of the project, claims, collaterals. A lot of things will speak to you beyond numbers. Definitely will speak to you. Okay, I think role of CAs is very important because we are the people who have privy to a lot of information. When you're taking up any assignment or when you're engaging with any client, please do a basic search on what is businesses, what is the core of business, so that tomorrow there's no conflict after your engagement. Before you get engaged to it, because you will be a party to that criteria. And I know a very good chartered accountant who's a friend of mine. He was a chartered accountant for a company which was into a Ponzi scheme. And he did not know because those people, the way they portrayed in the office was that they're making such good returns, they're giving this return. They never showed him the intention. Those people are below, he's got, and he's going every day to see. And he's stuck in it because unko to wo reach nahi kar pa rahe. And this guy was innocent, he didn't know till that happened. Till all this, the entire thing unfolded. And now he's caught. He's also had a paralytic attack because of this. Yeah. And if you ask him any provision in any act, he knows it by heart. You'll think he's a dictionary because he's read it multiple times to prove himself innocent and to see how to escape out of it. So you are the one who has analytical thinking, attention to detail, technical expertise, which you really need to develop. Because nowadays, the way technology is advancing, a lot of these tools can be used to prevent and detect financial crime. A knowledge of laws, communication skills, client confidentiality, and reporting. And I will, before I share case studies, I will share a very important tool with you. And this is what we call open source. So when you say open source, for example, ChatGPT is open source. It's something which is available on the net, accessible to all. And this tool, which is here, okay, which is called the Wayback Machine. Okay, see, for every company, most of the businesses will have a website. Most of the listed companies, not most, all the listed companies under SEBI have to have a website. It's mandatory. And it's also mandatory in terms of what information you need to furnish on the website. So a website of a company speaks a lot. And this tool, which is an open source tool, is an archived data of all these sites and all your history on the internet. For example, if CA Institute was formed in XYZ year, or if I'm saying I'm Pallavi, don't take me at face value. If you go to my company center and expert and I tell you that I've just launched it, you will come to know that this did not have in history before 2025. This site did not have in history before 2024. So if you type the URL of any company in the search here, and you can go to this Wayback Machine, it can give you so much of information about the company.
आपको results पता करने हैं, who was holding that company, what was the ownership structure, because a lot of mandatory information is to be furnished on the sites. You can see the archive site. So I can see a site how it looked in 1994, 1995, and when I go to these colored dates, which have been color coded, and if I go to any of these here, for example, I put the URL of the CA Institute, and when you go to this, you will come to know. This will take a little bit time. This is working? Okay. Yeah. This is how the site looked in so and so year, and this is all the information that was there on the website. It's not loading, it's taking some time to load, but once it loads, you will see phenomenal amount of information you can get on this, because it traces all your digital activities on the site and it archives it and saves it. So this is an open source tool. Like this, we have a list of more than something like 400, 500 open source tools, which we use as an alternate data source for seeking information. Okay, again, they are not legit because this is open source. It could be in some of the information, but then you can validate it through other resources as well. But for your primary investigation or to prove your suspicion beyond a point, you can use these data sources. They give you a lot, like a lot of information. So if you can see for the C Institute, I can see all the history of the website of the C Institute ever since its inception. Look. So if I want to see who was the president of ICAI in so and so year, rather than going to any other record, I can go to this archive data and I can see it on the website itself. There are a lot of case studies also which will indicate that what was the business of the company, what was written. See, for example, one of the flags that we have, which a lot of banks use, if an account is being used through Udhyam registration, which is for MSMEs. Now, MSME registration बहुत fast हो जाता है. They ask you very basic documents. जो उसने अपने MSME सर्टिफिकेट लेने के लिए उद्यम को रजिस्ट्रेशन नंबर जो उसने फर्निश करा है, उसकी जो बिजनेस एक्टिविटीज है, are they corresponding with the activities that he's mentioned for getting the GST number, or is that matching with the articles, activities listed in the articles? And a lot of times you'll see there's a lot of disconnect, because at that point in time, the attitude is such that you just want to get these registrations done, but your intent is really not to do any of these businesses. You're just making it into a shell structure as an SPV. And you will see that there's a lot of mismatch in terms of information that I've provided for these registrations. And the easier it is to get a certificate, the easier it is to use it as an OVD, which we call officially valid document. So, you know, for opening a bank account, there's a certain list of OVDs that are required, officially valid documents, which have to be given to the bank. So which are the OVDs that I've given? The OVDs which are easy to obtain if my intention is such. You'll see that they give them those OVDs which are difficult for them to cross-verify and which have been easy for me to obtain with giving minimal information that way. So a lot of banks use this as a very big tool to start the investigation, where they see huge mismatches in account activity. What is the activity that is stated? What is the actual activity that the company is doing? Who are the directors? Who are the owners, the beneficial owners? Very important. You should know the beneficial owners for sure. You should know the entire map that they have, who is working, who is related parties. Very important from a PMLA perspective, from an anti-money laundering help. You should know the PEPs, the politically exposed people, because politicians have always been involved into a lot of corrupt practices. And they have been facilitators of all these activities. So PEP is something which is globally very important. Politically exposed persons and all their relatives come under this. So when you even go to open an account, there's a huge list of politicians through which they do a check. So if you're an MP or this thing, they'll have an enhanced due diligence to open your account. They'll do an EDD because of the nature of the activities that you engage in, because of your power and influence. So PEP, UBO in companies that we call SBO, significant beneficial ownership. Now, significant beneficial ownership is not only by your voting rights or your holding pattern. There are many other things which indicate the significant influence that you have on the company's activities. So you have to read a lot between the lines as well. So these are like multiple things, and if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to take them. In the interest of time, we don't have much left.
So I was trying to search it on the internet, what are the burning companies available, like in a few of them. We communicated also with them, because some things were also we saw. And the problem came was we were even not about to pay the money, but when we, what you were saying that you have to pay so much money in advance before you travel to pay the stay. So we were really confused that why this person asking total payment before that money. But I didn't have any access to know about that, but in Google, Google Meet also, everything was looking fine, was telling this and that. But fortunately, you have plus 6 and you already buy it, not goes to it. And now the question arises after your talk that if I have to find out about that company, whether it's a genuine company, people have been traveling there or not, whether it's been, how to find out about the foreign companies?
Yes, it's very difficult to find out, and it might be an exercise that you're in. I think let's do one thing, that if you think that there's another way out, alternate way out, why should I trust anybody? I'm not saying not everybody, but suppose our travel agent is asking you for an advance payment. Is there another alternate way that I have out? Because if he takes the money away from you, and if he does not give you activity or service, there's no way that you can recover that money, right? So now, whether you have another option or don't have another option is what you need to evaluate before moving forward. If you have another option, then better to go into this. To investigate, there's absolutely not much that you can do except for maybe somebody written a negative review about that company. It might be very hard.
Reviews are about paid written, like people say, you know.
That's right, that's right. So, but still, even if one negative comment is there, and if somebody has filed anything, like on, there are a lot of blacklisted sites which are being published by the regulators.
I see, let me look for
There's a lot of blacklist data that is available on various sites. Yes, yes, yes. In few days I have this list also, watch list. That we call it watch list. So we have a watch list of parts companies which you should not deal with, of companies which have defaulted in the past, of sanctioned companies, everything is a watch list. There are huge watch lists which are published by almost something like more than 100 agencies all across India. Globally, all sides. In India itself, there's only watch lists, blacklist, negative list. In fact, a lot of our work involves across, adverse media, negative profiling, watch list matching, negative for sanctions, you have a watch list. And all of the entities have to go screening, name. So if I'm onboarding you, I have to screen the name. The only challenge is that in India, like because of the structure it is, we use a lot of formulation and combinations. Like I might get Pallavi Ansikal, I might just write T. So even if there's a match that is found in my name, I have to validate that this is the right person and this is the right match before I restrict doing business with Pallavi. So I have to be sure that this is the same Pallavi because of these different combination. This is a challenge across the globe, but most in India. अभी साउथ इंडियंस का आप नाम देखेंगे तो उनका इतना कंफ्यूज होगा पता नहीं फर्स्ट नेम लास्ट नेम कौन सा
Okay, Pallavi, yeah. You can take a couple of case studies. We have just 5-7 minutes.
Yeah, I won't be able to do justice to the time, but I've put a lot of these case studies and I'm putting a lot of them onto the portal also. So they all can be like a reference source for them to use. Each of these will now take some. Okay, make the facts. But if I have any other questions, I'm happy to. Yes.
Two things. One, the Indonesian case, Philippines case which happened. Is it matching with your law case? Please, I'm not saying detail, but
See, these are all allegations, so nothing is proven, I'm not the right person to.
those case studies will come here.
So I'm only putting case studies which have a lot of facts which have been gathered and shared in public domain, honestly. So whatever is in public domain is on my side, what is not in public domain, yeah, I'm mindful about it. And my objective is to train people, I'm not into the servicing part of it. So I provide a lot of trainings, I conduct a lot of trainings for BSSI across various topics of financial crime or financial. I have a team of trainers who are working with me as well. And we are also doing this academically, so we are also collaborating with a lot of academic institutions, their graduates and postgraduates, because there's a huge demand. See, earlier what happened is that if a bank had to do a transaction, there was no fragmented payment. Now today, a bank has, you have a digital wallet, you have multiple intermediaries whom the transaction passes. So nobody has a 360 view of the transaction. So because of that, so yeah, if today I had 50 people who were in my anti-money laundering department, in my fraud monitoring department, transaction monitoring department, these are all departments which every bank has. Asset recovery department, compliance department. There's a huge demand for professionals across all these departments. They are hiring massively. So there's a lot of opportunity for you to specialize in this domain, to build up your capabilities and to get employed. There are a lot of openings everywhere. And I'm also launching my portal, which is called Jobs in Financial Crime, which will help you to seek these jobs. India has become one of the biggest global hubs for outsourcing all these activities. All the GCCs are getting set up here. And a lot of work is getting also in this domain, where they do multiple checks. Even like a simple thing like KYC might sound so basic to you, but there's so much more that goes beyond it for KYC also, know your client, know your vendor, everything. So there are thousands of people who are sitting and who are doing this work here. And honestly, there's nothing like, there's no lot of opportunities in this domain. So if anybody wants to specialize in this domain, please feel free to reach out to me. We are curating a lot of cases, they are curating a lot of programs, training programs, and also certification, which we will be launching. They cover forensic audit as
India trade profit fund.
well. Okay?
Trade profit fund. जैसे begin the restaurant. वो लोग बोलते हैं कुछ donation करना होता है NGO में. तो क्या होता है?
I'll ask you one question. I just faced one situation where
An investment was done through ICICI Securities in an overseas fund. So the entire process has been followed by ICICI Securities, obviously. Otherwise, the transaction cannot happen because they do it so many clients. They're one of the big. Now, you receive a notice after 5 years from ED that you have done overseas investment without seeking any permission. Now, what is this? Because again, I think ED is not properly equipped or informed. Then what is the point when you find a crime and the authorities dealing with crimes do not have enough knowledge on the subject? Where are we leading to? That is exactly the question.
You see, it's not leading to anything, or it's not like you didn't have an overview of it 5 years back, but after something is some.
Where is my question of having overview when I am dealing with ICICI
Talking about
Securities?
the law enforcement authorities. Honestly, see the law, there's so many multiple transactions honestly going around everywhere. It is very difficult for them to keep an overview of who's investing where. I used to advise people on oil bond investment. Like just like how you were saying, I was also working with ICICI Bank and I was saying that. So there's a due diligence process that these people follow. If you have your paperwork and if you've done it through, then the onus is on them honestly to prove to law enforcement. So onus is not on you because you're done. So if you have done your homework and you have your paperwork in place, you can at least defend yourself. Questioning the law enforcement and their capabilities is something which I don't know we should do on because there's so much happening all around the world. So I think the onus is on each one of us to do our own due diligence and to be validate information as much as we can. I mean, I hope I've answered your question, but honestly, I don't think we can play the blame game anymore. We can play the blame game and it is going to be played always, but the question is, if you can exercise your own due diligence, question being, being really enough. Please do that.
One thing familiar with tax department, all the analysts are putting money there. Like, I will give you an example that a person who is in Hong Kong, right, he's been there say 10, 15 years. Now he's got money there, he's sending money through official channel to the Indian banking system, where he buys shares, security, everything. Problem that comes when even if it has come to NRE account. Technically, there is one in the section 5.2. Source of, because every notice which you receive in case of NRIs, they're asking for source of fund from where you put their money. Secondly, they're asking for the tax returns of that country. See, when you're filing the return of NRI, when you go to fix asset trading, when you say, take as a non-resident, it's totally blanked out. In the sense that NRIs are not supposed to give any information about foreign asset and foreign income. And when such questions have been raised by the tax department here, we have a proper procedure for discussion that if I say plainly, I will not give this information because I'm not supposed to give from where I got the money. It is coming in NRI account, is not income on in India, or not never approved in India, so not liable to tax in India. There are so many champions in our field, but in spite of that, the harassment comes to the NRIs are saying, no, I should getting money here because every time that every money, they are asking questions that I'm getting money from. So, I mean, this particular thing, what is happening, whereas really, they are just frustrated now. People want to say $1 million, they now going to put money here. Because the way they are harassing us, they're asking questions which are not relevant.
Actually, you know, there's always this conflict that if you are asking questions, seeking more information, the person will go to another musician. That option is always there. But the thing is that, yeah, it's kind of balancing it out now, which is really not in my mind.
I think balance is very frustrating, but that's the part of the everybody should. And that is balance, the other thing is the other way.
Yeah, I think that हर चीज को नहीं बोल सकते कि ये कौन है ये suspicious है because it's not काम नहीं करता हूँ. There has to be something critical that comes across your way.
Unless they have a specific information, see, then they should just look.
Yeah.
Why they are asking this
So
question?
that's the reason of the Patta is coming to place. Right now, we also have a Patta, like this, people are providing us information about Indian residents voting overseas. Yeah, because we are not able to enforce it. See, coming up with the regulation is not a problem, enforcement is a problem. If you can enforce it, you can come up. Now, US has enforced that, but has an extraterritorial reach. It has. So they have been able to do that. So the problem is enforcement. How much are you able to enforce? And now, why people are doing so much of regulatory compliances? Because there's been enforcement, penalties have been imposed on you, you're all over the news, there's a huge reputation damage that's happening to you. The penalty might not be, might be very high, but the reputation damage is very huge. And that's why people are so compliant, that's why who was looking at compliance as a function. And that's why the hiring in this domain has increased multifold. You have to be compliant, globally compliant, domestically compliant. Today, nobody can say that I'm in India, my list is only pertaining to what happens in Europe. Or to the laws and regulations here. You cannot work as a silo. And you have to know that there are a lot of other things that you have to consider. And that's why there's a huge demand. And if you go to my portal also, my job portal also, you will see all the roles that I've listed, which deployment is available in. So here, these are all the trainings that we provide. You can go through these trainings and we have a curriculum which is for 300 hours, 180 in person and 120 hours of reading that you can do. And the certificate will be given by us. We are a private institute, a private organization. This is the job portal that we have launched. It has yet to go live. We are just having some technical things sorted on it. And the reason I'm getting your attention to is you'll see that these are the job categories where a lot of people in our profession are getting deployed. And these are specialized roles across BFSI. So there's a huge demand right now. So if anybody wants to specialize, please feel free to reach out to me. You can get my coordinates on the site from Vijayta anywhere. And I'll be happy. I'll be happy to contribute to the CA fraternity in whatever way I can, because I think we are the only people who can be soldiers of this country to combat financial crime. And I think with that, I summarize my data.
Thank you, Pallavi. Now, to propose a formal vote of thanks, I request Deputy Convener, CA Kalasu.
Good morning, friend.
My comments. Camera, camera. They want to start these are right.
It's an honor to extend the vote of thanks on behalf of our study circle. Take this insightful seminar and identifying fraud and suspicious transaction without number. Friends, in today's environment, we all see कहीं भी कुछ होता है, इसका सीए कहाँ है? कहाँ है इसका सीए? वो डेली मॉर्निंग में पेपर में यही देखते हैं हम, कहीं कोई फ्रॉड हुआ है क्या, उसमें कौन से सीए का नाम आया है। तो nowadays we have to very careful to do any audit, any certificate, because we are so simple कि हमारे क्लाइंट जो हमको कहते हैं हम मान लेते हैं। क्लाइंट इज ऑलवेज गुड, ठीक, क्लाइंट इज ऑलवेज गुड, बट आपको अपनी सावधानी रखनी है। और ये आज पल्लवी मैडम ने हमें बताया है कि सावधानी कैसे रखनी है, वो रखनी है, कब रखनी है और किस किस विषय पर आपको नजर रखनी है। सो आई वुड like to express my deepest gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Shri Pallavi Admira, for sharing her profound knowledge and expertise. Friends, this session was not only enlightening but also thought-provoking, equipping us with practical tools to detect and prevent fraudulent activities. Madam, your insights and real-world case studies, regulatory frameworks, and risk mitigation strategy were invaluable. मैं एक बात जरूर करना चाहूंगा, सच और झूठ का एक गहरा रिश्ता होता है। सच और झूठ का एक गहरा रिश्ता होता है और हर धोखे के पीछे एक नया किस्सा होता है। और आप एवरी फ्रॉड देख लो, वो अलग अलग होता है, मगर जो जान ले धोखे की हर एक चाल, वही होता है ऑडिटिंग का सच्चा सिपाही बेमिसाल। और एक छोटी सी बात में जो और करना चाहूंगा, मुझको हर धुंध के, हर धुंध में क्लाउड, हर धुंध में रोशनी का एक नूर होता है। कहीं भी अंधेरे में आपको एक न एक जो रोशनी कहीं ना कहीं जरूर मिलेगी। और हर मुश्किल सवाल का कहीं ना कोई जवाब जरूर होता है। सवाल कितना भी मुश्किल हो, उसका कोई तो जवाब होता ही है। धोखा चाहे जितना भी होशियार हो दोस्तों, ईमानदारी के आगे वो हमेशा कमजोर होता है। Please give a loud of applause to our esteemed speaker, Pallavi Admira. Thank you.
There are a couple of announcements which I need to make. Request everybody to please be seated. There's still some time for the break. एक मिनट।